So talking about Elimination Chamber, not necessarily for the match card itself, but we're about 1 week out from Elimination Chamber, which has already sold 45,000 tickets in Perth, Australia at a stadium, which I think is kind of strange to me because of the fact that last year in England, Money in the Bank was in an arena, right? And then this upcoming year, we have Backlash in an arena in Lyon, France. And then we have Bash at Berlin in Berlin, Germany in an arena, right, in a smaller setting. But this event they decided to do inside of a stadium, right? I think Perth, Australia is very similar to the other places. It's based on, it doesn't get events a lot. It's a big deal. It's putting a big spotlight on them. But unlike those other events, which I think could have been in stadiums based on the demand, I don't know why they're going to Berlin and they're trying to get like 16,000. They could get 16,000 here, right? If you're going to Berlin, you should go into a stadium because you have that. Like I said, Wembley Stadium could have hosted Money in the Bank, and it might have not got 80,000. It might have gotten 80,000, but it could have went to Wembley Stadium, as AEW proved. Clearly they could have went to Wembley Stadium because AEW struggles to get big time fans here in the States, but because of that uniqueness and that demand for it, you could get that huge crowd. So I don't know why WWE kind of dropped the ball and decided to go, oh, hey, we're going to sell out like the O2 Arena. And well, you could sell out Madison Square Garden here. The gimmick is there. You could sell out Money in the Bank in a stadium. You could have done the Allegiant Stadium thing, sold it out. But they didn't. But they're picking this one to do a stadium, right? So with that being said, you would think that of all the stadium shows, the Backlash, Bash at Berlin, all these foreign shows, that Elimination Chamber was going to be up there with WrestleMania, with Royal Rumble. We even talked about it very highly that, Rock and Roman was a very big possibility. A lot of people thought that for Elimination Chamber, not based on it being Elimination Chamber, because that's not one of the major events of the year, but the fact that it was being placed in a stadium. Hey, they're putting this in a stadium. When they go to France, in an arena, England, an arena, Germany, an arena, all the shows, Money in the Bank here in the U.S. or in Canada, an arena. They're putting this one, though, in a stadium overseas, right? So it's going to be big, right? So with that being said, the card so far, without needing to get into the details of who's in the Elimination Chamber match or anything like that, is simple. We got 4 matches on the card, and then we have the Grayson Waller effect, which is going to have Seth Rollins and Cody Rhodes pretty much all but assuring that Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, Rock versus Roman isn't a match that's going to happen at this event, right? Do you think that the Elimination Chamber fans or the Perth, Australia fans are getting a little duped, getting a little bait and switch here for the fact that, for what I'm looking at, I mean, the main event of this card, I guess, is Nia Jax versus Rhea Ripley. I mean, this is a stadium show. I mean, this is a show in where people have plunked down thousands, if not, tens of thousands, maybe even in some situations, for the all-around packaging. Raw and SmackDown aren't included in Australia. You're just getting Elimination Chamber here, right? And you're getting, from what looks at it so far, a weaker Elimination Chamber card than we got last year.
It's clearly a weaker show. I mean, I know it's going to be cool because Rhea Ripley will probably be the main event, and that she's back in her country with her fellow countrymen and women. That's cool. I think that's great. I think based on the card right now, I feel like they got to do something else. Can't they make it at least one more match somewhere? I know it's going to feel rushed.
Even if you make another match, it's fine. But I feel like, when we watch these shows in Saudi Arabia, right, they always they throw out the WrestleMania match, the Undertaker, the Goldberg, the Brock Lesnar, the Roman Reigns is always defending his belt in Saudi Arabia, right? So my question is why is this not the same? Because I imagine Australia paid a good sum of money for them to come here, right, to do this show, to put it on at this stadium, right? So Roman Reigns defended the championship last year at Elimination Chamber against Sami Zayn, right? And I get it now. We're looking at Roman Reigns not defending the championship at Elimination Chamber. I mean, But if you were to ask me 6 months ago, would Roman Reigns be defending the championship at Elimination Chamber? I would say more so than Royal Rumble, just for the fact of the venue. Just because, hey, the Royal Rumble is a big show. We're going to fill it here in the U.S. anyways because that's what we do. They've got to kind of save some of the good stuff for the people in Australia because of that fact. Because, hey, we can't gloss over this. These people paid a lot of money. It's a bigger crowd probably than even was just at the Royal Rumble. So the fact that they had 45,000 tickets sold as of right now, and I'm imagining actually ticket sales probably have slowed down because they probably sold about 45,000 tickets based on the fact it's going to be this big event. I think they've slowed down based on the fact that there hasn't been any reason to up it. There hasn't been, 45,000 was just the generic, and then we'll do kind of what Revolution is doing with AEW, where they sold like 12,000, and then as matches have started to come about, they've opened up more seating. But with this one, they're not really opening up more seating because you either bought your tickets based on the fact that you live in Australia and this is a huge event and you're going to buy the tickets or not. Like there is nobody who's waiting out the event, and if you're waiting out the event, what are you waiting it out? Because clearly you're getting a little disappointed if that's the case. Dude, you're waiting out for The Rock versus Roman to be announced.
So how long is the show going to be? How long is the show going to be?
I mean, it's probably going to be your typical 3-hour show. I'm not saying the show needs to be a WrestleMania length or needs to be long.
No,
I'm just saying last year in an arena, Roman Reigns versus Sami Zayn in a main event match. The Elimination Chambers were the good accoutrements to this match. Money in the Bank in London, right? You had your Money in the Bank matches, your Damian Priest, your Io Sky, great for them. But your real main event was Roman Reigns versus the Usos in a big time match, right? This event inside of a stadium for 45,000 people. What is your main event? What is your not Elimination Chamber number one contendership?
Well, it's Ripley, Nia Jax. That's what. It's because of the Australian connection. That's what it's. Dude, it's going to be a 30 to 40. So each match has to be what, 30 to 45 minutes?
I mean, I imagine there'll be another match made. I mean, that's fine, right? They'll throw in another match. So I think it'll probably be 5 matches. Last year's Elimination Chamber was 5 matches. Survivor Series this year, I think, was 5 matches. It's fine that these are.
They're double taping too. Like we talked about in the pre-show. They're double taping SmackDown this week. So there's got to be something built between now and 8 days from now, right?
I imagine they're going to throw. I was thinking they were going to put Gunther and Jey Uso, which is going to happen on Raw now at Elimination Chamber. I thought that would have been a good match to put on the Elimination Chamber. And it's not, here's the thing. If this match had 7 matches, this card had 7 matches, I would still have the same complaint because I guess my thing is there is no stadium main event. This is a stadium. Where's the stadium main event? That's all I'm saying. Money in the Bank, you had Roman Reigns and the Bloodline right out front. Frankly, I think Roman and Solo versus the Usos Money in the Bank main event was bigger than the Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso SummerSlam main event, right? Last year, Elimination Chamber, Sami Zayn, Roman Reigns, that clearly was the match. If an Elimination Chamber match got canceled off the card, I don't think you were losing 1 ticket. I think people were there because that was what was on the poster. Sammy versus Roman was on the post. That was even at the Royal Rumble this year, right? Even though we had 2 Royal Rumbles, and the Royal Rumbles to me sell themselves. They're bigger than Money in the Bank or Elimination Chamber matches all day. But yet they still felt that they had to put a big title match because it's a big pay-per-view. It's a stadium. You got to have one of your champions front and center, specifically your main one, Roman Reigns. So Roman Reigns, not being on this card, and I get it, he was going to defend the belt and he's going to win and he's going to go on to WrestleMania. But, the fact that we're not having Roman versus AJ or something, or Roman versus LA Knight, and just kind of something, because, again, this is a stadium show, right? It was fine last year when I went to Payback in Pittsburgh that you didn't have Roman. You did have a championship. You had Seth Rollins defending the title. My question is probably too, do you think that Seth Rollins was probably slated to defend his title at Elimination Chamber? Because I can't imagine, again, stadium show, you didn't plan for either championship to be on the line in front of 50,000.
No, I think the injury changed the plans for this event. And it's unfortunate because, it would have been Seth Rollins in a championship match, because we know Roman Reigns he's gonna work a limited schedule, as we've seen. So it would have definitely been a Seth Rollins situation.
I think we were slated to have Brock versus Dominic at Elimination Chamber as well. So Brock Lesnar is your big name. So I was
that fell flat, obviously.
Yeah, so I think the fans in Australia are getting a little screwed over because the Elimination Chamber is being treated like it's like a WrestleMania afterthought. You know, they had the WrestleMania press conference, which happened before Elimination Chamber, right?
Yeah.
So it's like all hands on deck for WrestleMania, and you're getting a
They're
little
just putting this together.
you're getting a little screwed in Australia because it's all hands on deck for WrestleMania, and they're like, "Hey, we sold 45,000 seats in a massive stadium. We like paid a ton of tourism dollars to draw this major event, and it's really just being treated like, you know, an afterthought. It's treated just like oh, by the way, you know, we got to just have this, but we're really on the road to WrestleMania."
I'm just curious to see if they do anything big between now and next week. So we have just a little over a week, you know, as of recording. I'm curious to see what's going to happen because I feel like I do feel like the Australian fans, I agree with you. I do feel like they're getting the screwed on this. So hopefully they can, you know, throw something together and make this worth the dollars and cents they spent over there.
I mean, Grayson Waller effect with Seth Rollins, and, you know, like I said, you know, even if it's not like I think, you know, you needed John Cena to be on this card, even if he's not on the WrestleMania card, because again, WrestleMania is fine, it suits itself. But like we've seen with the Saudi Arabia shows, right? They book these stadiums, they pay these dollars. We get these matches that you're like, even though they don't even have builds, just because it's a huge event, they're selling it as, you know, Logan Paul versus Roman Reigns, whatever it is. May not have the build, it may not have the excitement that it would, you know, if it was at WrestleMania, but you got to throw it out there. You got to throw out these big name people. Triple H, to get him out of retirement just because we got a stadium to fill. It's the reason why people thought Rock and Roman was happening at Elimination Chamber. I can promise you, if Elimination Chamber was originally scheduled to take place at the, you know, I don't know, the arena in Atlanta, no one would have thought that Rock and Roman was a possibility for Elimination Chamber. They would have just said, oh, Elimination Chamber probably won't have Roman on the card. It'll be treated like, you know, the pay-per-views were, you know, Payback and Fastlane. It'll just be like that, right? It'll just be one of these in between. It'll be treated like, you know, Backlash was or something like that. But the fact that they are putting it in a stadium, which is one of, as of right now, one of only 3 stadium events of all of 2024. And, you know, the first Elimination Chamber to be in a crowd of this size, the first ever, you know, the largest crowd ever for an Elimination Chamber. And it doesn't have the most cachet card for Elimination Chamber. That's all I'm saying. And, you know, time will tell if they change it around. But with a week to be, I can tell it's not, because obviously that's part of the deal, right?
Let's just say
part of the sell. It's part of the sell. If WrestleMania is 1 week out, even if it made Rock and Roman like at the last minute, the fact that they didn't do it is part of the failure, right? The fact that there wasn't some sort of a clear big main event match that they have on a billboard already in Australia right now.
Let's be honest. Let's hope between you know, this week's show and next week's show, we're a little bit more optimistic going into next Saturday's show, because right now I'm not optimistic that the fans are going to get their money's worth over there. So I'm curious to see. I mean, it's a 5 a.m. Eastern start time on next Saturday. So I'm curious to see what happens between now and then. So it's going to be, hopefully we'll have some positives to add to the card going into next weekend. My fingers are crossed, that's for sure.